Alright, so here's my kitchen scene that I'm currently working on. And what I'd like to do is emulate something similar to this reference photo here, where I have these two coming off this way, and then I have a fridge. I'm not doing it exactly, but I will kind of copy these cabinets and stuff. And so I just want to show good, efficient polygon modeling. So these were made in a program called ProBuilder. You can download it from the asset store. Just look up ProBuilder, because this is a continuation of my classroom examples. I won't show you how to get ProBuilder or how to import it. It's pretty easy. You just click import. All right, so once you have ProBuilder installed, um, just a really quick refresher, you go to new shape. It gives you like a cube. You can also select a bunch of other cool shapes like stairs, um, and you can do some really neat stuff, right? But for now, what I want is a cube, and I'm just gonna hit build cube. This is essentially how I made this cabinet. And then I pulled this face up, and then I made another cabinet, or another cube here, and I essentially just shaped it out like this. Um, that's about it. So I selected these faces, I pulled the points, I pushed them until I got a cabinet shape. I'm going to go ahead and select this as face mode and just delete these. Once you have those shaped, I'm going to go ahead and select both of these, and I'm going to go ahead and merge objects. And I'm going to, because it was a duplicate, it got rid of the original one. And I'm going to just hit export. And for now on my desktop, I'm going to name it cabinet, and I'm going to export an OBJ. And I'm going to go ahead and import that into Maya. So I'm going to pause the video. All right, so here we are in Maya. And I want to take special notice to my axis here. It says ZX. When you export something from ProBuilder, it's going to import it in with the same axis and viewing angle as it did. So I'm going to actually take out root namespaces here. I don't really want that. And I'm going to hit import. Now notice we are looking at the z-axis here. And actually, I think I imported in the wrong model. So let's do import again. And we want an OBJ. So let's go to our desktop. And let's look for cabinet OBJ. Yeah, so this is what I was talking about. Notice that here's the center of our world, but it's facing in the x-axis. So it's actually facing the exact same direction or placement that it was inside of Unity, right? So what we want to do is we want to, first of all, this is just our reference model. We're going to go ahead and hit center pivot, so modify, and then I'm going to hold Control and Shift and add center pivot here to my demarcation panel, and I'm going to center that, and I'm going to hold spacebar, right click on the word Maya and go to front view, and hold X, and I'm going to snap it by holding X and moving it to the center grid. Then I'm going to hold spacebar again, hold the right mouse button down, and go to right view, and hold X, and just snap it in place this way. And then I'm going to modify freeze transformation. I have one added here. And I'm going to go to my perspective view, holding spacebar, going to Maya. And now the front of my cabinet is on the x-axis because that's what it was in Unity. See how this is the x? I actually want it on the z. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate this on y 90 degrees. And now it's facing the z, but I need to freeze transform to clean that out. Now, let's bring up our reference again. Notice the shape of our cabinet, right? This is just the reference that's going to help us with our height, right? So we have two essentially doors here, and then we have a little base that this thing sits on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat this back box as the base, and then this will be my top. So I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to double click it, and I'm going to name it ref, and I'm going to hit save. Then I'm going to make a new layer above that, and this I'm going to turn to transparency by hitting T, and then I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to add selected here. So right click, add selected object. So now it's transparent. I also want to make sure wireframe is on and ambient occlusion so it helps me better see it in my scene. So on this new layer selected, I'm going to hold spacebar and I'm sorry, I'm going to click off here, hold or shift right click, go to cube and make sure interactive creation is on. Now this only works if nothing is selected. So if you hold shift and right click and interactive creation is on, what it'll do is it'll let you draw out your own cube. So something like this, right? And then I'm going to drag this up just so I'm in that same spot. The next thing I'm going to do is just duplicate this, Control D, and then go to vertex mode and drag this in and drag it down a little bit higher than halfway. So like about there. And I'm going to bring it up so that I can see that lip. So it looks like this. And this needs to be a lot thinner. And actually I believe we should make that a little bit skinnier on the sides too. Like that. Okay. Let's go ahead and hit Control D and bring this up. Like that. And then go to vertex mode and bring this down like that. And then we need the top part here. So I'm just going to do that the same thing. I'm going to hit Control D, pull this up here, and just create that top. And it does have a little bit of a lip off to the sides here. Like that. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and delete this reference that we have. So let's actually make this, let's select all of this and add this to this layer. And then I'm going to make that invisible and then make this visible. And I'm going to delete it out. Now what I'd like to do is go to File, Export Selection. And what I want to do is, on the desktop I have a shortcut to my final project folder. So I'm just going to go to Assets, 3D Models, Objects. This is just kind of where I have it. And I have a folder that I made already called Cabinet. And so it's Kitchen Cabinet Large. And then inside of here I'm going to select Fbx Export. And I'm going to write over this file that I had made earlier. And let's go ahead and make sure everything is selected. So let's do export all actually, and then let's try that again. Now inside of our scene here, I can actually delete this cabinet. I don't need it anymore. Actually, let me leave it in for a second because I want to show you how the size reference works. So off to the side in here, inside of Assets, 3D Models, Objects, you'll notice Kitchen Cabinet. This is the one that we just made. And if you, by default, oftentimes you'll see that it has Use Fit Scale on. We always want to check that off, and we want to use the actual reference size. So now when we drag it in, you'll notice that it's the same size as the reference that we had initially created. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees, and then just push it back here for now. All right, you can see, if we look at our reference, you'll notice that it's inset further back than our stove. Now, you don't want to just go ahead and hit Control D and duplicate it and shift it over. What you want to do is create the, looks like I have a dummy object there. We want to create the, something called a prefab. And what that'll do is that'll contain all of our scripts and everything, and actually our positioning and size. So I'm going to grab this and drop it into our same kitchen cabinets image, or I'm sorry, folder, and I'm going to rename this cabinet underscore large, and then I'm going to name this prefab, P-R-E-F-A-B. So now what you'll notice is when I select this one in the scene, it actually renamed it. So what happens is, say we want to go ahead and duplicate this, and we're like, you know what, this is not the correct size. I'm going to go ahead and scale this up a little bit, but I want this one to scale up. I can just hit apply, and it'll actually double with anything that's a prefab. So, but for now, I'm actually pretty happy with the size of that. So I'm going to leave it as a 1. And that's going to be the end of this one. And the next one, we'll take a look at unwrapping it and texturing it.